So the thing is that your book is called The Tears from My Soul. And this is Sharon Lane, and we're here at Agave Restaurant in Kent. And it's really nice to sit here and meet with you about your book. So tell me a little bit about the foundation of your book and the trials and tribulations that you went through in order to have this book published. And this is your second book.
Actually, this is my first book, The Tears from My Soul. This is the first edition that I had done by one publisher, and then I had a second edition done by a second publisher. But anyways, my story is based on my life, starting from birth, some things I went through as a child, and then some things I went through as an adult, like we all do. You know, we all have a story to tell. And so I just truly believe that I've been blessed through God to overcome a lot of my trials and tribulations. Without Him, I wouldn't be here today. I grabbed a hold to the Word of God and began to read my Bible and praying a lot and seeking Him more so. And so that's how I was able to tell my story. To take you back a little bit, when I was a kid, no, actually when I was a teenager, I used to tell my friends that I was going to write a book one day based off the things that I had went through as a kid. Well, what I spoke, so you got to be careful on what you speak, because it will come to existence. So what I spoke is here today, the tears from my soul. And I truly believe that my story is a powerful story that can and will help a lot of those that's going through some of the things that I've overcome. So if you...
And how did you get into the realm of writing your book? You did chapter by chapter and title by title. So you just sat down and started.
Well, basically, I met my mentors and they encouraged me to write because they said that writing is therapeutic. So those were the reasons why they wanted me to write. So I was kind of against that because at that time I didn't know how to write, didn't know how to spell, barely knew how to read. So I began to seek the Lord as they directed me to do. I began to pray and talk to God more about it, asking Him, if I'm to write this story, if I'm to write this book, I need your guidance. And so just like He spoke this earth into existence in the Bible, in the beginning of Genesis, it talks about how the world was a void, which was completely dark. There was nothing. And now that I think back on it, I had a piece of paper sitting on my desk with a pen, and I would just look at that piece of paper every day. There was nothing on there. It was a void. And then all of a sudden, the Lord began to drop things into my spirit. Like start with chapters. And so the first chapter that came into my spirit was Born To, which that's the first chapter of my book, and that story talks about my parents, and then so on and so on. And so the book has 27 chapters.
And then after you finish this book, and this book is basically about your life, and it's about trafficking and all sorts of different things, and the nightlife and just some things that people get involved in and they don't really realize they're getting involved in it and how to get out. And your book can help people figure out how to find a way out.
Yeah, in my 20s, I got involved in the adult entertainment industry. No one led me to it. The way I was raised, it was morally against my principles, the way my mom and my grandmother raised me. So for me to go and do that, it was kind of like frowned upon. But hey, you make decisions, you have choices in life to do whatever you choose to do. So I chose to go down that path at 27 years old. and by the grace of God, once again, I never got involved with drugs. I never got involved with literally walking the street like a prostitution, but to me, stripping is a form of prostitution. So I did it for 12 years, something I'm not proud of, but I'm not ashamed of it anymore because I've dealt with it, I've come to terms with it, and I prayed about it. I know I'm forgiven for my sins. I'm not knocking what one do, but my second book that's coming out, it talks all about that industry and that lifestyle, and hoping to help a lot of young ladies that's still in it, that wants to go in it, hoping once they read this book, they'll have a second thought about making that choice.
And it's called Tears from My Soul. And you wrote this book because you want people to be aware of the lifestyle, how it affected you, and how young women can get out of it.
Yes, I wrote this book, which is my autobiography. This book is based off my life story. The second book is based off the lifestyle of a stripper. So that's two different books. That second book has not actually came out yet. It should be coming out within a month or so. But this book is based off my life story. And it does talk about the stripping industry and trafficking and that sort of thing.
And how did you meet Mr. Cooper to edit your book?
Mr. Cooper is the editor for the second book, which the second book, the title is The Flesh. I met him actually through social media. My first editor had uploaded my first book on Amazon, and Mr. Cooper apparently was browsing through Amazon and seen it, and he read it. He purchased the book and read it, and came back and left a comment that brought tears to my eyes. And so him and I began to do some research on him. I looked him up, I found him, and I gave him a phone call, and we began to strike up a conversation, and we've been the best of friends through social media, having conversation over the phone for like 2-3 years now. And he has become my second editor for my second book.
Nice. And he's published other books in his career.
Yes.
And it's a nice thing that you're both working together on your next book.
Yes.
And how do people find your book, and how do people find out about you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, they can find me on Twitter, they can find me on Instagram, Snapchat.
And also, Amazon has your book.
And yes, Amazon as well.
And so if people want to buy your book, they go to Amazon.
Yes, they can go to Amazon and purchase the book on Amazon, or they can go on Facebook. I have some contact information on Facebook. They can contact me personally. Yeah, and I will get them a book.
Sharon Lane, your book is called The Tears from My Soul.
Exactly.
And tomorrow we're going to be meeting with a politician, and we're going to be asking her how she is involved in the race for mayor.
Yes, Shalisi Crest. I'm really excited that I get to have a one-on-one interview with her. I met her. She was invited to come to my book signing, and she actually came. And I'm so grateful that she did. And her and I attend other events that she has actually held. And so I'm looking forward to this interview with her one-on-one about her becoming mayor, because I know she would do it.
And it's tomorrow on Public Interest Issues.
Yes.
On Seattle Community Media TV.
Yes.
Well, thanks for being on my show today. And we're real happy to hear about your book, The Tears from My Soul. And we're going to be interested in interviewing you again about your next book.
I'm excited. Can't wait.
Thank you.
You're welcome.